States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anybody else fit?
Well, does it matter?
Yeah, no, go ahead. There. On the end, in front of the big camera, you want to go on the end?
I'll make you a star,
There you go.
Jason. I'll make you a star.
Okay, first on the agenda is public input session. I know there's a bunch of people here. Does anyone want to say anything?
We signed up.
Yeah,
There's a sign up sheet.
There's a list.
Okay, I think we can accommodate this number.
Okay, and Dan, can people introduce themselves? There are so many people here.
Well, yes, but maybe we should start with ourselves. Of course, everybody knows I'm Tim.
Dan Senti.
Chris Aldrich.
Carol Donkovic,
Karen Carpenter Palumbo.
Jason Wright.
Jenna Shemansky,
Herb Hennings.
Sean Silvernail, IT Department.
Tomoli Watanabe Hatspas, Library Assistant at the Programming and Public Services.
Roseanne Marcantonio, Access Services, Senior Library Clerk.
Mike Marcantonio, Roseanne Sullivan.
Sue Gardner, Library Clerk.
Margaret Garrett,
Mark Curielli.
Senior Me, Library Clerk. Kush Bubias, Library Clerk. Kim LaPlante, Library Clerk. Alice Bankley, Library Clerk.
Bonnie St. Pierre, Senior Library Clerk. Sherry Fazio, full-time page.
Donna Raffaelli, Library Clerk.
Lisa Pitkin, Department Head, Collection Services. Ann Wendell Person, Librarian, Programming and Public Services.
Heather Rigler, Senior Library Clerk. Brianna Wapowitz, Librarian.
Walter Arby. Ian, you must have gotten here first on top. Come on up.
Here we go.
Okay, my name's Ann Wendell Person. I'm a librarian here. I've been here for about 9 years. I do, before I get started with my main comment, I just want to note that there is not a second public comment period on the agenda, and by not having a second public comment period, it doesn't allow us to respond to anything discussed during the meeting. So, I'm gonna read this.
Just to comment on that, we do generally have a second comment period.
I know.
I think it's just a mistake.
I don't know, but I went through previous agendas and I noticed that there was usually almost always a 15 to 30 minute public comment period in the first part, and then there is a second public comment period, and this is a 10-minute public comment period, but I'm gonna get going.
Well, let me just add, just so I understand it, what did, was it just a mistake?
No, it wasn't a mistake. We
Okay.
have a lot of material to cover.
Okay, good. So this could be
And
clarified,
the
good.
10-minute allotment for this public comment period is not etched in stone.
Okay,
I'm
Okay,
sure you
good.
won't be repetitive, but don't worry, you're not gonna get cut off.
Okay, I just wanted to understand myself,
Those are
right,
just
nice.
kind of for our own guidance.
okay, thank you. So last month, some employees, including myself, asked that the board please consider hiring a person dedicated to human resources. We gave examples of ongoing issues and justification for hiring someone. And to be clear, our request for a human resources professional is not strictly about money and deductions and accuracy of our paychecks, investments, retirement, and insurance. It is about the value you put on the employees right now. Something must be done about what's been happening. Last month, Mr. Senti said that the issue will be brought up in the Finance Committee, and we're hoping that that has happened. And we respectfully ask that the board members let us know the progress on this issue.
Thank you. Moment, you're next.
You don't have to get up in front if you don't want to.
I prefer.
Good evening. My name is Tomoli Watanabe Hatspas. I have been working here at the library for 10 years. Well, first of all, I wanted, about the public input session 1, I'm glad that I have opportunity to speak here. However, the public session 2, I'm disappointed that it has removed from the agenda, that after the fact that meeting has occurred, there was no input from public comments to be made. That is something that could you please consider from the next board meeting, if there could be a second session, always has been. I'm going into the points of the, here that I wrote up here. At the previous board meeting, several library staff, including myself, asked the board to consider a human resource position in the library. The amount of time that we have been spending to straighten out our New York State retirement, deferred comp, health insurance, correct hours worked on paychecks, our time accruals, etc. And that time is applied correctly. Has it been applied correctly? We have yearned and worked for. Then add time to discuss all of this with Margaret and David to make a collections. This all takes a lot of work time and away from the tasks that we were hired to do. These are recurring issues that we are facing on a daily basis for years. For example, 3 years ago, a new full-time employee's New York State retirement was not taken out. A year and a half ago, another full-time employee's New York State retirement was not taken out. And a current new employee found out that their New York State retirement system has been taken out, but there is no record in a New York State retirement system. Current system, I'm not talking about for the softwares of the system. Current system is not working for the employees. These problems has been going for several years. These are the urgent matters, and it needs to be reviewed and evaluated and reorganized to solve these issues as quickly as possible. It has been 1 month since the last board meeting, and I'd like to know where the process stands and what the response to our request is.
Thank you. Sue, you're next, pardon.
Hi, I'm Sue, and I am pretty new here. I've only been here 5 months. And I was very surprised when I actually started working here that there wasn't an HR person in a company with this many people. And
So what do you do here?
I'm a library clerk.
Okay.
And I quickly learned that every payday was kind of a painful day because people are upset, they're angry. We sit down for, 40 minutes each with a calculator, printing out our timesheets, and there's always something wrong, and everyone is always just upset about it. And it really seems to me that you need a human resources person. You have an IT department that takes care of the structure. You have maintenance, a very large maintenance department that takes care of the building, but you don't have any one person dedicated to taking care of the people and their concerns. And it really kind of gives me the impression that there is just maybe a lack of respect and concern for the people who work really hard here. And that's all I have to say.
Roseanne, you're number 4.
I'm gonna make this brief. I too, we did talk last month about it, and everyone that you see in this room, and some people you might recognize, some people are new, like Sue, and there's a lot of others. We are still very concerned about our benefits, our paychecks, and all that. And we will continue to come to the board, and we will continue to express our concern until, I guess, maybe some kind of solution can be done. We will continue to come. And we may be 15 this month. Maybe we can get up to 20 or 25, but we will continue to come.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, you may.
So, we're concerned about it too, Roseanne, and all of you here, we're concerned about it, and we've discussed it at our meetings, and at our, and, part of the issue right now is we don't have a full-time, finance person.
Well, you have a full-time person coming on board.
Yes.
And I know we read about human resources, but I think she'll be so overwhelmed with everything and be so busy that the human resource will be lost. And I'm even thinking, start
That-
small, hire someone part-time.
Well, that person is not to do the human resources.
Right,
Margaret does
right.
the human resources.
Right, but even if you hire someone part-time, start small. There's been people that have been here part-time that have gone full-time.
I
Start
understand, I
small.
understand what you're saying, but we do have a human resource person. She's just not full-time, and that's not her only thing she does.
Right,
It does need to be the only thing that
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 she
person
does.
does.
it does.
I am the person that was spoken about that have been paying, and first my retirement wasn't being taken out of my paycheck. Then it finally was, but I don't know where it's going. It's just in the mist. So
That's
you
sad.
can't have someone who is willing and helpful and wants to help, but has a full-time job. They
Doing other
need
things.
someone who is trained and experienced human resource person. Because we're working very hard, we're not getting rich here, we really need our benefits, just the basic things. It's really kind of shameful that we have to worry about that.
Well, we don't disagree with you on that. I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about it.
We're
We agree.
at your
are
mercy.
worried now.
We're at your mercy. We
Yeah,
keep
we are
coming, we
worried
keep
now.
asking, and you keep saying, we don't feel that we're appreciated, or there's a lack of respect or something here.
Or even being heard.
Yeah.
Well, let me
trust.
just ask for a second, because I wasn't at the last meeting. When was the last meeting? I was
December.
December, so you came and you presented it, because I was just
Right.
trying to look at the
It
minutes.
was on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it that
No,
night,
unfortunately,
whatever.
yeah, try not to,
But-
get on any Facebook, but, so you presented and then you were asking for a response for this meeting. Is that what
Well,
happened?
I'm not sure that we're coming here to expect a response,
Right,
but
right.
we're gonna keep coming until.
Yeah, no, I hear you, I'm just trying to understand, you're looking for a response, even if it's no. I mean, you just want a response.
Well, I would hope.
No.
it won't
I
be
understand,
no.
listen, I'm getting you just want a response, because our decision is to make, you want us to make a decision. I understand what you want,
Well,
I hear
want you to
you.
consider,
Of course, we're here,
I
yeah.
want you to, you're saying, Mr. Aldrich is already saying, we have a human resources. And Margaret is very busy. You know, Margaret did, with Tim, she did this, security thing this week, and she's still doing it. And she did a very well presentation, where she took us around the building, she showed us things that I was not aware. I've been here 20 years, and I'm not trying to say, but Margaret's been here the longest of everyone.
Sure.
She knows this building from top to
Right.
bottom.
Right.
And plus now she has to do human resource stuff on top of it. I don't think it's fair.
Right.
She is so knowledgeable. Everybody depends on Margaret, because Margaret has history in this building and history with everything.
Yeah.
So, and on top of it all, she's gotta do human resources stuff.
You're just asking for a decision too. You said you presented last month, you wanted a decision. Our job is
Well,
to give a decision. I understand what you want. I'm hearing it.
Well,
I
I'm
mean, I think the
hoping,
whole purpose,
what
yeah.
I want was human resources. I am not sure we'll ever
I'm sorry,
get that.
what did you say?
I don't feel that we're being heard.
Oh,
because-
I'm here, I know, I mean, just so you know, I can repeat it. You want somebody to pay
But
attention
you
to the
weren't here
human
last
resources.
month, and you didn't read the notes from last month, so
I
to
did,
me-
I'm hearing what I'm telling you, I'm kinda in this business for a long time, so you don't know me, you don't need to, but I've heard, you want somebody that's focusing on your issue full-time. I know of the issue, I personally wasn't aware how much of a concern it was to you. We knew of the misses that you've had, but we
This
also
is
knew it was
years.
being
Years.
addressed.
So maybe
Never
that-
heard, it's
that-
never been presented as
that
yours,
might
just so
be
you
it.
know,
Well, I
so
think
that's a
that's-
little different.
Might
We're at
be
the
it that
tipping
we're-
point.
Yeah.
Right, we're at the tipping point.
Yeah.
If you're not, maybe,
Yeah.
what we're trying to say
Yeah.
is that this has been going on for
Yeah,
a long
understood.
time, longer than some people have been on the board.
right.
And that, well, we would like you to have a conversation with us, and by saying that Margaret is the human resources person, what we're saying is that that's not cutting it. Margaret's done a phenomenal job. The library's growing, I think we can all say that. The staff is growing, and so the departments need to grow. IT has grown, PBS has grown, circulation has grown. The responsibilities of human resource person is, it's not just making sure things come out of the paycheck, it's making sure we're safe, we're going through the right kind of training. And so what we're asking for, today is that, do you have some kind of, have you thought about what we've said last said, we're just going to keep coming, which is a good thing, but also we'd like it resolved. We don't like, I was hired to be a librarian. I was not hired to, I could figure out how much money it's taking me every day,
Every paycheck.
every
time
paycheck,
you pay
the
it.
time and money to figure out if things are accurate. And that's some of the fiscal stuff, but that's some of the human resource stuff. And every single person in here could do the same thing. And Tim and Margaret could do the same thing. And it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. And a fiscal person handles the fiscal part. There's another part of it, and it's the human part. Thank you.
Yes, we are asking for considering for the human resources
Right.
positions. That it's been recurring issues all those time, and we are not hired to do the, tasks of the human resources.
Every single person in this room has had problems with their paycheck, every
Yes.
single person.
Yeah, we gotta work
I think
6 days a
at
week.
this point, I'm gonna have to move on to the agenda. You've been heard, believe me, and not ignored, okay?
Well, we'll see, we'll see,
Well,
obviously,
no,
we'll
there's a
see.
difference, there's
Well,
a difference
because
between
we'll
being
be
ignored
back.
and not ignored. You've heard what's said, we understand. Okay. Can we go to treasurer's report, please?
Okay, so hi everybody. Those of you who don't know me, Carol Galakovic. I was on the board for some number of years that I can't remember, 7 or 8. But I'm not on the board. I'm not a board member. I am not, I don't know. I guess I don't talk except for the treasurer's report. So here's my part to talk. You all have the budget for this month, the actual versus budget for this month. We are under budget for the first 6 months of the year. There is nothing crazy that I saw when I first looked at it. This is my first look at any of the financials for this year, whether it be for December, for the 6 months ended December, for the budget ended this coming June of 2017. But again, I didn't see anything that's, excessively high, excessively low, something that we need to be concerned about. There were some variances that Tim and I discussed before the meeting that are just timing issues. So unless anybody has a question about a specific line item or about revenues and expenses in general or the budget in general, I honestly don't really have particular items to hit in the treasurer's report for this month, other than it looks fine. I know that sounds kind of trite, but
We did spend the time and looked at the issues, so. As did David Gillian, by the way.
Make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
A second.
Who was the second on that?
I was.
Karen.
Karen.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that should be reflected as unanimously passed.
and I'm peacing out. So thanks guys. I will
Carol.
see you for committee meetings and next month.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks. Okay, Tim, staff and director report.
Okay, as the board members who were here last month know, I do support the proposal for an HR person. And I have a written director's report, which presumably you've read, so I'm not really gonna cover any of that again. But the staff that is here, as well as the staff that's not here, is doing a tremendous job. And I wanna kinda highlight some of their successes, none of which, as I glance at them, did I have anything to do with it, as far as I know. So on the programming side, I wanna mention several important and interesting programs. One is that this coming weekend, we're doing the Escape the Room program or project. And this is, for anyone who doesn't know, a popular thing these days where you get locked into a room and you have to work collaboratively to get out of it. And from what I understand, A, it takes a lot of time to plan, but B, there's been good public response to it, and people are going to be coming. Also, the youth side of the programming effort has really been turning up the volume on story times, and in particular, what I want to talk to you about a little bit is outreach story times. They have done 9 outreach story times within the last 6 weeks or so. This is where they go to the Marillac Center on the Washington Avenue Extension, or to a nursery school or a church daycare program. And when I say 9 different, I mean 9 different places. I think it's a total of 12 or 13 story times that they've done. They've been well received in every place, and I think they're to be commended for coming up with that. Also, one of the librarians in that group has started Teen Tech office hours, so teens from a high school are coming in, I believe it's generally on Friday evenings, to offer drop-in assistance to people with electronic devices that have questions about them. And it's just a great program and a great way to combine generations a little bit. Another wonderful program
Is
there
it
too.
popular? Is it?
It is relatively. I mean, I think it's just getting off the ground. So, another great thing that they're doing is a monthly family science night. The need here that's felt in the community is to address STEM education issues, science, technology, engineering, and math. And in an innovative way, they've partnered with a different local college each month to come in and teach students and their parents about something. This December one had to do with, I forget which college it was, but it had to do with how to make ice cream, and really well attended and interesting program. And lastly, on that side, I want to talk about birthday party kits, which they've come up with, and this will be a little bit of a segue into talking about some of our CERC department initiatives as well. But this is a birthday party kit. We have 8 of them, I think, maybe a few more than that. This one is on the theme of dinosaurs. So if you have a young child and you want to have a birthday party, this is kind of the whole party in a bag. It's got a couple of books. It's got a cake pan shaped like a dinosaur. It's got an inflatable toy with a pump to pump it up, a dinosaur-based party game, etc. So basically, you check this out, set up your party, and bring it back when you're done. They have just started circulating, and a couple have circulated, but I expect them to be very popular. When your kids are 9, like mine is, you just go to Flight Trampoline Park or something to have your party. But with the younger kids, this is just takes a lot of thinking off of the parents' mind. I think it's a great example of anticipating what the customers might want and serving them. And by the way, right there, I should mention, you probably saw on the way in that the Book Nook has moved. The Book Nook is now out in the lobby, and the space where the Book Nook used to be is a space where we're going to put some display cases and some signage to advertise the unusual items that we're circulating, such as, since we last saw you, the birthday party kits, also virtual reality glasses. And we're now going to start circulating the Amazon Echo Dot, which is the small Alexa-based personal assistant. We've purchased 6 of those. Also, since the last board meeting, we decided to circulate board games, and they just flew out of here. Prior to the holidays, every single board game on the display was checked out, and we ended up ordering 8 to 10 more of them. So all that is related in some ways to the PPS department and in some ways to the CERC department. The CERC department, as I noted last week, is very close to becoming the first public library in the state to sell EasyPass. Basically, and as I noted in last week's meeting, month's meeting, you know, it's great to have the staff come to you asking to do more work instead of you coming to them asking to do more work. One thing in the last month that Upper Hudson has implemented that all board members should know is online registration for library cards. So starting January 1st, you can get a library card from your couch or from your office at home. The way it's currently set up, you have then 2 weeks to get into the library with your proof of registration so that you can continue to use the library. But the great advantage of doing it from home is that lots of people want to use the library to use a database like Consumer Reports, for example, or to use Overdrive to download ebooks. And they don't necessarily at that moment want to come into the library. They want to get started that way. And another thing that the CERC department did, and this is my final thing to mention, the CERC department noticed that there were a lot of people asking them at the counter for certain DVDs, which the computer said were available, but they hadn't yet been reshelved. So they looked at that and they came up with a 1-hour reshelving process. So every hour essentially all DVDs are reshelved. And that is just wonderful. And the result in the last month is a 10% jump in the circulation of CDs, because if people can find it on the shelf, they can check it out. And I commend Phil and his staff, many of whom are in the room, for that. So that's my report on the directives. Yes.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First of all, how long is Alda going to be out?
Well, nobody knows how long she will be out.
And if she's going to be out for a long time, is it, would it be reasonable to hire a temp, because, Red says everyone is doing her work now, but, that might be difficult to keep doing for a long-range basis.
I will certainly ask Maria and Beth if they want to pursue that. It kind of seems to me that you'd spend the first half of the temp's time training him or her, and then you'd let them go. That's my initial reaction, but I'd be happy to ask the two department heads if they want to try to do that. There are many people in the room who filled in admirably, and I thank you for pointing that out. But I don't think she's expected to be away more than about 2 months at the outset.
And there might be someone who has worked, in this library that they have to want to come in on a temporary basis or something like that you wouldn't have to do the training. I don't know.
But that might be, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, I'm sorry. So this is for the admin assistant positions,
Mhm.
Bogas. Okay, so you are considering for the part of the admin assistants?
No.
Okay.
Which,
Well, she can talk whatever you want.
This is just something
a
that's
question.
brought up
Sure.
today. And the second question I had is, at what step is the Sunday pay grievance?
At what step is the Sunday pay grievance? So the 2 units of CSEA both grieved the Sunday pay decision. And I believe they grieved it on around the 20th of December. And on approximately the 30th of December, I responded after meeting with the Finance Committee of the Board and our lawyer, Chris Lane Chanton, responded with a letter denying the grievance. And the contract calls for the units to then have 10 days to provide their response. They asked for an extension until January 31st, and we granted that extension. So that's
Let's go to the second step.
yes, that's my understanding. So,
Hey,
I just have one question on Mark's before, I think.
okay.
The newsletter,
yes, sir.
you had 33% click rate and 15%, or 33% open rate, 15% click rate?
33% open rate. And within that 33%, 15% of those people click through to various links we had in the message.
So they clicked on some link?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Were paper copies sent to the Upper Hudson Library?
They were, yep. What we've done, Jenna has helped me with this. We're not only are we sending copies to every library in the Upper Hudson Library System, but we are also, at Tim's suggestion, sending 10 copies to the elementary schools, 30 copies to the middle school, and some more to the high school. Not for distribution to the students, but for the staff use there.
Because Heidi didn't give anything out at the meeting
I
yesterday.
can't
so
speak to
don't know-
that.
Didn't know what you had. what you
I'll
had
call her
said.
tomorrow and find out what her issue is.
okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, just when does the Easy Pass start, or did it start?
It hasn't started yet. Actually, Phil Berardi, the head of CERC, is in the room. My understanding is it's all ready to go, but they're doing some things on the Easy Pass end to, before they can greenlight us, correct?
Email 3 copies of the contract that we need to sign. Once we sign off on it, we'll be mailed the Easy Pass labels, and we can talk further about how we want to interact with that group.
Yeah, that's just a great press announcement, right? Then switch to it, right?
Well, we were kind of hoping that Easy Pass would come here and do a news conference.
Well,
because-
however we do it.
We're trying to get the governor, he's all over the state anyway, so,
Yeah.
sorry.
I don't think I'll make that call, but somebody else can. But the other ones were bad and
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, bold print, that means we need a motion to approve.
I'll make that
Barbara?
motion.
Karen seconded it? No, Barbara made the motion.
Oh,
Karen
sorry,
seconded it.
okay.
Karen seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that was unanimous. Approval. Committee reports, finance. Brian's not here.
I'll give that report since I ran the meeting. We had a very short meeting and plan for the next meeting, basically.
Okay. Policy, Judy's not here.
Judy's not here, but last month we didn't approve the revised policy stuff because we wanted everyone, you said that you wanted to see it. So we have the old and the new, and I'm hoping everyone got to see it. We're still gonna go ahead with this.
What's the old?
The oldest, the pink, and the newest, the white. And I went through, hope I'm not stepping on your toes, Jason, but I went through and made a sentence or two notes about what's different on each policy, if you want me to give you a summary, policy by policy.
Supposed to have white that has the new policy?
White is new,
I
yeah.
don't know that I have the white.
Excuse me, did I miss the finance?
Well, that was the one in email, right?
We just said,
He said it, Chris Walters said it.
There's no finance meet,
There was a meeting.
There was a meeting.
today.
Oh, there was a meeting today, okay.
The next meeting is the end of the month.
Okay.
So who, did you say you wanted to comment on this?
if it's okay with
That's
Jason, or if
fine. I
Jason wants to.
appreciate
Yep. So if we started with the bulletin board notices, my notes to myself say the new policy gives us a lot more latitude, removes all mention of the cost of the event, the type of the organization holding it, the type of the event, and some extraneous, like, I don't see why, and I don't think the committee sees why you need a policy that says, hey, if your group gives us both posters and brochures, we reserve the right to use one or the other. So it's a simplified policy that is easier to understand. And basically what happens is that groups give us their events for posting, and should there be nothing morally or constitutionally wrong with posting it, we just post it. So.
I was at that meeting that we discussed this with Judy, and one of the big changes, and by way of streamlining, was the last sentence of the first paragraph. This just says they may not be used by commercial businesses.
Yep.
That replaced a lot of language that we had difficulty with.
It really did. In the old policy, it said like, material with printed price charges may be accepted, but not those in the So if you're holding a benefit and it's $10 to get in, it's okay to post it, but it's still okay to post it under a new simplified policy.
So the new policy wasn't, the new policy pages weren't provided tonight, just the old?
The new were supposed to be provided, and Dan hasn't.
Well, the new were actually provided at the last meeting, but we hadn't gotten within the 30-day notice provision in the bylaws to the 30-day notice of the board. And they were furnished to us again by email.
Should I go on to the next policy? The no smoking policy,
Do we have to vote on the bulletin board policy?
Well,
You can do it in
we could do a
policy.
package.
the no smoking policy basically does two things. It makes the point that smoking on library grounds is illegal, which the old policy did not. And it also says that if we ask you not to smoke and you fail to comply, we may contact law enforcement, because that happened to me. So we thought it would be good to say that we might contact law enforcement. And to point out that this is a policy, but it's a policy that conforms to more than one law, state, federal, so no smoking. You guys ready for the third policy? Proctoring, there's just no change in the proctoring policy, it's just got a reaffirmation date of today at the bottom of it.
We're assuming it's going to be approved. Huh?
Correct, yeah, we are assuming, yeah, so. The recycling policy likewise has not changed. So,
Just updating.
as you know, it's good policy, it's good practice, excuse me, to update library policies occasionally, so that it shows that the board has been thinking about these issues. The social media policy is the fifth and final policy, and it is substantially different. Social media has changed quite a bit in the 5 years since the policy was last adopted, or first adopted in this case. It's in the middle section where all those bullet points are much more explicit about things that we do not wish to see posted on our social media page, and how we may remove posts that, for example, contain obscene matter or hate speech. And it also introduces the concept up in the top of social media sites being a limited forum for discussing library programs, events, and materials. Judy, as you know, is a lawyer and did a lot of research on social media policies, and we watched a webinar together. And there are 2 different or 3 different kinds of forums, I can't quite remember, but they're essentially limited forums and open forums, and maybe there's also moderated forums, I don't know. But I can't speak to the advantage Judy thought in declaring that our social media sites are limited forums, but my guess is that it essentially just says we're in control of these sites. So I don't know if Mark or Jason would have anything to add. Mark was very instrumental in helping to develop this policy.
Christina Ronald.
Christina Ronald as well, yes. Yep. Anything to add, Mark?
No, sir.
So basically, it's an update of the social media policy that is more explicit in terms of what we don't want to see.
Would anti-bullying be, be taken care of by the personal attacks, harassment, or threatening language?
Yes.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the policy presented, as presented.
Okay, that was Chris and Barb, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous on that. Herb, Upper Hudson?
Okay, the Upper Hudson Library System Board of Trustees met yesterday. And at that meeting, one of the major points was the Library Advocacy Day in 2017, which will take place on March the 1st. And that's the day that the library directors, board presidents, board members, and other interesting citizens go down to the legislature and lobby for funding for the libraries. The way they do it is they say that libraries are part of education, and need more money and more support, as an educational foundation. And there will be appointments made for the Upper Hudson Library System of the legislatures who cover, Albany and Rensselaer counties. And this year, in addition to that, they're going to have a seminar or a session to getting ready for Library Advocacy Day, something to people who want to go. Will be a training which will be presented by Jeremy Johansson, the NYLA Executive Director, and possibly Mike Neville, the Director of Government Relations and Advocacies. That's going to be, a conversation on unifying the advocacy activities of the library community in order to maximize the impact on the legislative process. And every librarian and every patron has a role to play in speaking for libraries. So they hope that there are a large number of people who can come, and represent the library system at these. Pretty much, it's a lobbying day on March the 1st. is something that is important because the budget is coming up and the state budget, you know, will be important to figure out how much libraries get out of that.
Is it an ask? Are they making an ask?
They are looking,
Yeah.
What is it?
They're asking for an increase, a 4% increase in this. They got an increase last year and they're hoping that that money stays and to get a little more this year. Everything always goes up, you know, inflation and costs of everything, so it's important to do that. Also, there were other things. There is a conflict of interest policy certification. All of the trustees were asked to fill out a conflict of interest form. And today, they had a core trustee training program where library directors and board presidents, you know, come in and talk to to Tim, and I don't know if there's anyone else involved in that, and see if they can get on to the same steps with building the skills required for high-functioning libraries. They had 6 teams attending. I don't know if Gilbert was there.
we haven't yet.
Today. But they're hoping, you know, to train the library directors and board presidents together from all 29 of the library systems. The one thing that they are also doing, though, is to join NYLA en masse. Not all of the libraries in the Upper Hudson were members of NYLA. Some of them had problems, such as Colony, who were under the auspices of the town, and the town didn't see, you know, a reason for this, but, you know, they'll have a lot easier time paying a bill when they get it from the Upper Hudson library system than when they get it from NYLA, so they expect everything to go well with the 29 libraries.
Not only that, but it reduces our membership
By 15%, yeah. And the regional spelling bee is scheduled for February 7th at Proctor's Theater. I don't know if anyone is going from Gilville and any students or whatever, but that's something that Tim is pretty much in charge of, and it's his baby. He's very proud of that. And he's teaching a computer course at the University of Albany Library School. So he figures that there'll be a lot more Upper Hudson Library, you know, publicity for the Upper Hudson Library system with that course. He had taught it in conjunction with another individual in the past, but this year he's going to be teaching it himself. Everybody also was given a copy of the Altamont Enterprise pull-out section concerning the Altamont Library, and they were very proud of their activities with that. Excuse me. And the purchase journal and financial reports, the treasurer's reports were approved. They're, you know, similar things to ours, so I'm not going to go to anything like that. But the advocacy day is important, so anyone who can go to that. I know you go to that.
A number of our employees go as well. And it's also really important when you get the forwarded messages, which you'll get from me, board members will, and staff, many of them get them themselves, but I also forward them on. They only take about a second, you know, 60 seconds to tell the governor what you think, and they work, according to Mike Knepple, who's the chief lobbyist for the state for libraries.
Right, the email,
Yeah,
Yeah.
message,
Yeah, they work.
got that from UHS. Now, and I know I sent it in, and I don't know if everybody else has.
It's really the least any of us in the room can do. It takes so little time, and it does count. I have a quick weird question, but my pen has run out of ink. Is there anyone with an extra pen? Thank you. So,
Is that it, Herb?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thanks a lot. By the way, where do you have those meetings?
On Essex Street at the Upper Hudson Library office. This is just one other thing, the dinner this year will be held at the Albany Country Club, which is fairly close to us, so maybe more people might be interested in going to it. It's where the awards are given out for the, to the libraries for different projects, that are done during the year. And, last year, the Albany Library got one of the awards they had.
So Herb, maybe you can next meeting, give us a date, or email out a date.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Gilderman Library won the same award this next year. Been several really innovative programs that have been put forward.
Well, let me see if I have that at all. Here, yeah. I was trying to check to see whether I.
All right, let's move on while you're looking for that. Building and grounds, Peter's not here. I don't know, Jason and Herb, was there a meeting?
No, there wasn't a meeting at all. I'll speak to it briefly. I met with Peter at lunch one day last week, and I wanted to talk to him about the heat pumps project and the selection of the design firm to do that, so we talked about that. We also talked about the fact that 2017 marks two important anniversaries for GPL. One is the 25th anniversary in this building, and the other is the 60th anniversary of our charter. And to my mind, this is an ideal time to try to engage the community in a conversation about, it's a cliche, but growing forward or growing larger. And Peter was excited about that discussion. I hope that when we can pull the committee together, we can come to some consensus to recommend to the board about what we want to do. As I've mentioned at the last couple of board meetings, we're not serving the public well by continuing to sit, can't think of the expression, but sit idle in terms of addressing changes to our building. There are changes that need to be made to the building's structural systems. There are security needs. There's, for example, gardening, which we've done very well about, which we could, and Peter's excited about. But mostly, whether it's an expansion or an interior redesign or both, the library needs to be kind of rebooted and anytime you reboot it as a physical facility, you also are rebooting it in terms of its services, its structure, its staff, etc. And as we all have discussed, libraries are being used differently by people today, coast to coast. Physical collections have become relatively less important than they were in the past. And events and space for people to use for their community group or for meetings or for programs have become more important, concerts as well. And by the way, we've got some great concerts coming up. But so even just a simple question like what happens when you walk right inside the front door? You hit almost a wall, basically, and everybody has to turn left. And it's just not, I can't tell you how many times in my 3 years, so we have people in here that have worked here 25 years, or somewhere in between 3 and 25. How many times I'm in a necessary conversation in a very bad place, and it bottles things up. So things like that I would like to address, but as we discussed at the last board meeting, I can't do that myself. I need the consensus of the Buildings and Grounds Committee or something. I have no foreordained conclusions, except that I think we need new carpeting and new furniture. And then I need the consensus of the whole board, and then of course we need to talk with our community about what they want, you know? So, it's a big process, but, it's terrible to say, but it's true. So the autofill on my computer, right? So I type in Peter Hubbard's email address, and I emailed him for 2 months, trying to get this meeting together. And I thought, boy, something must be really terribly wrong with Peter. So I finally called him, and he said, oh, you're using the wrong email address. So as soon as I called him, he called me back that day, and we had lunch the following day. So it's not Peter's fault that has languished a little bit. It's not.
Well, this is a good opportunity, maybe the foundation, to combine forces. They've been wanting to do that, and that's kind of my role to
I
the
agree.
liaison, and this would be a nice, cooperative effort to do
I agree.
fundraiser and community awareness effort.
I spoke to Rosemary about that the other day. She dropped in, and so, you know, getting them on board to help raise money and spread the
And a
vision.
community event, that would be great. Okay.
June 14th is that day.
In 2017 is 25th and 60th?
Yeah.
Is there a date? Is it?
I don't know, Ann, do you happen to know?
June,
well, we moved here on the June 6th.
2nd or June 6th? in
June
92?
6th, it was D-Day we moved in.
So that would be a good target, because that would be, right? That would be a
It's
great
easy date
target.
for me to remember.
Good. I'll try to keep that in mind.
Okay, I'm gonna move to old business. Paper road.
Okay, the paper road, Peter Barber was here the other day for a meeting of a group called Gilderland Cares, and mentioned to me that the transfer of the paper road to the town of Gilderland is, by the time we're speaking tonight, either complete or very nearly complete. I have a copy of the county resolution number 539, if people would like a copy of it, I should take one and pass it around. Peter said that, well, to take a step back, Judy Kahn, myself, Marie Wiles, and Neil Sanders from the school district met with Peter down at Town Hall several months ago, probably about 6 months ago at this point, and said that the town's position was that there was only one way that this property could avoid going to auction, and that was if the town were to accept it. They ended up buying it for $1 from the county. Peter reiterated that if the library chose to use that land for a construction project or any other use, that the town would be as cooperative as possible. And really that they bought it in effort to protect both the town and the library from, and the school district, by the way, from a developer buying it who would use it for something that we didn't want to have. Paper road's right behind the back of the building. It's about 8, or actually it's about 15 or 20 feet wide, but at one point it's 8 feet from the back of the children's department of the library, which is the historic objection of many library board members to anything happening on that particular space. So the school district was in that meeting as well, and the school district also felt that this was the best solution for all parties involved. So, paper road, probably a done deal at this point.
By the way, that was highlighting, not redaction, right?
Right,
That's
yeah.
when it's highlighted.
Highlighted.
Provide vehicle access.
No, it wasn't redacted.
Right,
Right, right.
No.
Yeah, it was just highlighting, yeah, not a redaction.
Someone had a thick highlighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should do something with that. For the meeting.
The copy that was emailed to us by Brian is clean.
Right.
Oh,
Check
Yeah,
your emails.
okay. Next is,
That was eliminated or not?
no, it
No.
wasn't
No.
eliminated. Somebody highlighted that, I have no idea who.
Because that's been our default law.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's why we need to use it.
Yep, you wanna go to the lighting?
Yes.
Okay, two things about the lighting. The first is that we are having a problem with the sconce lighting. You can actually see it right on the wall behind you here, particularly in the Helderberg room, but also in the reading room. The light fixtures have a part in them called a driver, and they've been replaced twice in many cases, and we're about to start the third replacement either tomorrow or Tuesday.
This is the part that was put in
By the
people.
Yeah, and it's warranted, and so we're getting the parts and the labor for free. But we have spoken to Integra, which is the contractor, and said, we're not sure, we're happy to try your 3 drivers again, but we're not sure that the drivers are the problem. It may be that they've selected the wrong fixture. And so there's a lot of players in that. There's the Integra is the overall contractor. There's a subcontractor here in Guilderland, and then of course there's the company that produces these sconce lights. And so far it is the understanding of all parties that it's incumbent on Integra to get us lights. So that's hopefully happening soon. You might have seen a budget item in the check register for about $1,000. The Librarian One's office, which is next room over after this large closet here, had a bunch of task lighting at certain people's workstations, but not everyone had one. And so when we did the one-for-one lighting replacement with the LED, of course, the people who didn't have lights wanted lights. So we're finally getting around to either tomorrow or Tuesday doing those as well, and that's just a straight purchase. The $75,000 for the lighting grant, I do want to read this into the historical record. So I completed a level of paperwork for DASME on this. The work's been done for almost 2 years. And I got a thank you email, and then I said thank you to that person. I said, glad to hear the file is headed to Council's Office for final desk audit. Are you able to say whether that audit is the final step prior to releasing payment? And I got, you're welcome. The next steps are as follows. Upon Council's approval, we submit your file for Legislative Division of Budget approval. Please note that the approval process can take a few months to be completed. For this program, once the approvals have been completed, DASME will forward a grant disbursement agreement to the grantee to be executed. Once the executed GDA is returned to DASME, we will review it. If everything is ordered, if everything is in order, DASME will execute the GDA and return one fully executed GDA to the grantee. Once the GDA is fully executed, the grantee may submit requisitions for reimbursement. Before DASME is able to reimburse any project costs, DOB must authorize the use of grant funds for purposes of the project. I'm attaching our 15-page FAQ again so that you can understand the process. And quite frankly, and I don't mind the fact that I'm on TV, the next time we get money from the assembly, we should assess whether it's going to cost us more money to get the money than it would cost us to do the project on our own.
So a few more months of process. That's not including time served. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now mine has been 2 years since the project has come done. 2 years.
Okay, the roof and loading dock update. Both projects are physically complete. Both projects are complete in paperwork sense. And yet we still have 10% of the funding to receive. So I need to work on that next. There also, and I can't remember if Carol Balakovic mentioned this, but there's a little irregularity in the financials because of a situation that was good. As of the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, the project was done and we had a final cost for it. So Dan put that money, that cost, into the budget and began to depreciate that. But sometime after he left on September 30th and about 2 weeks ago, David Gilliam was notified by the school district that a change order had been put through on the roof project, and that in fact it cost $14,500 less than we thought it cost on June 30th. So some complicated accounting steps have to happen to undepreciate money that's been depreciated and move money back over this way. And you really need to be an accountant to understand it, but David Gilliam and Carol Balakovic are both comfortable with it, which makes me comfortable with it. So. And CD laddering is a very brief update. David and I both did a lot of work on this, and we have invested $2.4 million in operating funds that we don't need today, and they're in CDs that mature every 30 days. So we've designed it so that our maturity each month will be $250,000, which is approximately what our expenses are. And the last month of the year, it'll be 150,000 because 2.4 is not evenly divisible by 250. So
What rate will we get on average?
I don't know the answer to that question. You know, the best he can get, certainly, you know, but I don't think it's more than like 1.5 or something like that. It's better than the money market account. Yeah, it's, you know what I think the rate is, it's not 1.5, it's 0.20. And it's, you know, it's just a strange environment we live in, you know, you can get as 0.20% interest, but that's, yeah, it's, we were getting 0.15 over at NBT, so.
Okay, go to new business.
Okay, I have a note from custodian Ronnie Snyder to the board. Ronnie is a wonderful person and a great worker. Very brief. Want me to read it or you? Please. Okay, to the Gilderland Library Board of Directors, I just wanted to thank the board for the wonderful raise you gave. It's nice working at the library. I hope you all have a safe, wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. God bless you all, Ron Snyder. And
That was handwritten.
handwritten, and this is, I mean, the reason it's at the board meeting is that he asked for it to be delivered to the board, so, there you are. Meeting dates, June and July. June is another month where the second Thursday of the month falls very early in the month. I believe it's the 8th again. And as such, I want to request that we, yeah, it is the 8th, that we consider moving it back a week. That would be to June 15th. And there's a conference that I want to go to in July that ends on Thursday the 13th, which is the day of our board meeting. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind moving it back in July as well. July is the annual meeting. In June, it will help us get the financials done in time. In July, it will help us get the year-end financials done. And part of my request is self-serving, but part of it is a good idea in my opinion, and in the opinions of our treasurer, acting fiscal officer, our previous fiscal officer. The 8th is very hard to get.
What's the date on the July one?
July would be the 20th, and June would be the 15th.
The other date we look at is date in February to approve the checks.
That's a good call. We need a February meeting date to come in and sign checks too.
So I don't know the second.
I thought, we didn't need a meeting. We need someone to come in and sign checks.
No, we need-
But I thought the resolution provided for a ratification of anything that had to go out.
I don't remember the resolution verbatim, but I'm certainly, my general opinion is that one of the signatories can come in and sign the checks, and you know.
I thought that's the way we worded the resolution. Can you check that and then?
Sure.
We don't have a January, I mean, a February meeting otherwise, so.
I think the issue was whether our resolution was contrary to what the law requires.
Yeah, and I thought we had concluded it wasn't.
I think so too.
I think we looked at it since that the meeting.
I could pull it up on the email. It would just probably take me about 5 minutes to find. So,
All right, we'll deal with that.
oh, do you have it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you.
What, the resolution?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think it's the first one. that we covered.
The whole packet in there. Yeah, I've got library will travel.
I'm ready too.
And
Okay, it says, to the extent permitted by law and regulation, for any month in which there is no meeting, the board delegates its authority to the president or other officer to audit and approve payment of those claims for which costs will be incurred as a result of payment in an untimely manner. All such claims shall be presented at the next regularly scheduled board meeting for audit and approval by the board, effective immediately. We have used it, like I've said, in the past.
It's just, I'm with that.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem stopping in and calling them to sign the checks.
Okay.
Okay.
so can you just send out then a new calendar, just so we have it for like from now?
Well, we're gonna need a motion, we're gonna change those.
I can make a motion to change the June and July meeting dates to June 15th and July 20th.
June 15th and July 20th. Okay, Chris has made the motion, Barbara seconded it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, and that's unanimous. Website and blog.
Logo. That's, good, Mark. Oh, there you are. I was like, his chair's empty.
That's okay.
So, that's Mark.
Before I get into talking about the website and the logo, I'd like to do this brief commercial message. The best of the capital region, the Times Union thing that they do every year, they have a category devoted to libraries. Do the right thing. Get online, best of the capital region, vote for your favorite library. Does anybody need any further guidance than that?
Did you send it out?
You sent
an
that
email
out quite a while ago.
I'm reminding y'all,
All right,
okay?
send it out again.
I'll
Okay.
send
Vote
it
early,
out.
vote often.
You know, this is Albany County, vote early, vote often, okay?
Send it out with a hot, like.
With the hot,
Yeah, with the
okay.
link.
I did it when I got it approved.
I did it
Perfect,
too, so
good.
do it again.
Shane, do it some more. All right, I wanted to talk to you about two things tonight, the logo and the website. As you know, our brand, not a logo, but our relationship with the community we serve is getting better and better. What you're looking at now is our current website. That's website 3.0. When I started here many, many moons ago, you guys had a website that was kind of rugged. Not only that, but you were shooting yourself in the foot in terms of like identification. You had an email address that was name@uhls.lib.ny, and then you had a URL for the website that was gilderlandpubliclibrary.info, which was a real mouthful. The website, as I said, you're looking at now is our third. Now, the first website you had, the second website you had, and the third website you had were all created on a shoestring without input from the professionals who are charged in this building with creating the programs and then helping market the programs. The website I'll show you in a moment was created with a lot of input from those very people. And specifically, and forgive me if I've left anybody off, please call out if I have, the people who are responsible for developing the new website, the design of it, Maria Buell, Beth Rienti, Phil Berardi, Christina Ronald, and I'm sure there are one or two other people who I've forgotten, and I apologize. Along with that website that you've got now, we've got, look up in the upper left-hand corner, Gildan Public Library, fondly known as the Red Roof Inn logo. That logo has been around in one form or another for over a decade. And it doesn't say anything about what we do, it just tells you what the building looks like. So what we've done is we've rebranded both the logo and the website. Let me talk to you about this. The logo, we got a team of stakeholders met last summer, developed guidance what the new logo should be. I hired a school-trained professional designer, one who had been a professional designer at a Capital District advertising agency, to work with us on developing the new logo. You know I used to be a creative director, I'm not a designer. So that's why I needed to get a designer. I didn't have to look far. The person I tapped is our very own senior clerk, Heather Ringler. We took the job on a freelance basis, which is why in the check register you'll see her name and an amount next to it. The logo you're about to see and the website you're about to see are the product of this whole group working together to give the library a new, vigorous look. The logo in the upper left-hand corner, Gildan Public Library, does that speak to anybody? Anybody see an image there? It's supposed to be evocative of what we do. It speaks to being a book. It's supposed to be a representation of a book, and if you look how the energy of it brings your eye down into the rest of the page. If you compare the two websites, if you look at this, very cluttered, you look at this, a lot cleaner. The benefits of this is now you can go right to an event, you can do research, you can review and listen, you can get to know us, and you can check out all the neat stuff we've got that don't show up on the other website. The other thing about this, and this is something that I struggled with the past website, if you look up here, search catalog, and then search website, you can search the catalog and, like, say, plug in a title. I'll use the Notebook as an example. And you get all these things about, this is nothing new. You can do that on the current site. That's pretty standard stuff. But if you go here, search the website, and you say, come on, baby, trustees. If you want to get information on the trustees of the board, that's not going to work because it didn't take the whole thing out. Let me try that again. What did you say, Roseanne? I know. It's not, look at this, I'm working on this meeting.
Trustees of the notebook.
I got the notebook. There we go. Okay, good. All right, so, trustees. Geez, this is small. No, I got it. Trustees. Nothing's See, this works so much better than the old website, as you can see.
Trustees usually doesn't have the two T's.
Thank you. And this is so well rehearsed. This is a well-oiled machine. TRUSTEES. All right, what we've got there is you've got tonight's meeting. You've got the listing of the Board of Trustees. You've got the listing of all the policies and how to get a library card, because there's a policy mentioned in there about library card. This is so much better. We have so many people, and I've had Tim do this to me. Where do I find something on the current website? I know where it is, because I own the darn thing. But by just using that search window, you can get all the information about the trustees, the meetings, and whatever else is going on. Another thing that we found is so many people, they want to find out, they don't want to look at our master calendar and look at all the things that are going on. They just want to find out what's going on with adults. They just want to find out what's going on with teens and kids. And this is not functional yet, but it will. And it'll just give them a calendar listing of all the events that are there in those categories. The other thing I wanted to cover, any questions on the website? I mean, we'll have a soft launch in a couple of weeks, then we'll have a hard launch down the road. But any questions on what the website does? Yes?
Why don't you show them the improved calendar?
Does he have to spell? He just doesn't take the mittens off.
Like, and take a look at the old calendar for a second first.
One for the notebook, let me get out of here. All right, this is the old calendar. As I'm fond of saying, it looks like it was designed in East Germany. Okay, this is the current advanced calendar. By taking this information and can I get back to my there we go. A listing of all the things that are going on, and you can get an entire catalog. Much cleaner, easier to read.
Good job.
Good job. For the people I mentioned, Maria, Beth, Phil, Christina, and the little part I've had in helping coordinate this thing, I'll take that compliment. But this is head and shoulders over what you've had. Now, that's what you bought. The last website, the one that runs like a Model T with bad rings, costs $1,500. This, because we had to get a local agency to help us put it together. There's a whole boatload of coding behind this, costs quite a bit more than that. But in the scheme of things, this is the best website this organization's gonna have this website for several years because it's scalable, you can modify it, and there are all kinds of things, all kinds of bells and whistles that are there, but they're not functional yet. Furthermore, this is just one part of the systems that we're changing. Events, the room and event management system that we use, that is so integrated into everything we do day to day here, has come up with a much better system. And the benefit for us is that, and here I'm gonna go into like, I don't wanna go into detail, but the system that they will, the benefit of Events 2.0 is it'll make this calendar even better. And it will also help the librarians do their job because they'll be able to add graphics to their event notifications. Now, so you've got logo, you've got a new website. How do we handle this? Those are just a part of it.
Mark,
Sir?
the cost that we paid is a one-time fee, though.
It'll be a one-time fee for the aggregate is a one-time fee. We've made one payment, we've got 2 more to go. They're based on conditions.
What's the cost of it?
Pardon me?
What's the cost of it comparison to the?
Totally 15,000.
And does that go?
And where did that, pardon me?
Is there also like a mobile version too?
Yep, coming to that, yep. The 15,000, where'd that money come from? We're not mailing the newsletter anymore. We're repurposing budgeted marketing money to a separate thing. We're no longer printing and mailing quarterly 19,000 newsletters. That's a huge saving, and that's where I was able to get the money to do this.
Is there
There-
a maintenance fee?
Yeah, there is. There's a hosting fee. It's industry standard, about $1,000 a year.
Does that front page scroll?
Pardon me?
Is it gonna scroll?
It's gonna scroll once we add more
Yeah,
content to it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not gonna be that static thing.
Right.
Now, the question was, is there a mobile version? This is scalable to you could look at this on your phone if you wanted to, but why would you wanna do that when we're gonna have an app in a month or 2? Upper Hudson Library System has said that they're going to have a Boopsy app. They're gonna pay for it. I don't know how that's gonna work, but they're gonna buy the Boopsy app and it'll be branded for each individual library. Okay. Once somebody signs into the Boopsy app and says, and enters their library card number, it'll automatically populate our logo and it'll be branded for us. The other things that go along with this, we're killing, and I hear this every day. I hear Jenna or I hear Margaret or even Tim going, no, it's GUILPL.org. GU for Gilderland, and it's horrible, okay? We're getting rid of that. It's going to go to Gilderland, it's going to go to gilderlandlibrary.org. Real simple to remember. Not Gilderland Public Library, gilderlandlibrary.org. How that's gonna work is when we do the hard launch for this thing, when it goes live, all traffic that goes to gilpil.org will automatically bounce to gilderlandlibrary.org. All email traffic that goes to, say, curryallym@gilpil.org will come into my gilderlandlibrary.org mailbox. E-News is getting a new look.
Are we keeping the URL indefinitely, or is it just like a temporary thing?
Which URL?
The original one, is it?
Well, you know, we're gonna hang on to that because there are uses we may have for it. It's very short. So we're not gonna lose gilpil.org. We're just not gonna use it anywhere. You know, it may be part of a small link somewhere.
Don't have to pay for it.
Pardon me?
We have to pay for it.
We already own it. Flyers. E-News is getting a new look. Flyers, the Program and Public Services Department had a guy named Doug Bixler. He's Schenectady's version of me. Guy's phenomenal. He came over, gave a couple of classes to the PPS department, and they just had, their flyers look so much, he really improved our look. Okay, business cards, Maria Buell has designs developed. GPL Mobile, which is the working title of the Boopsy app I've spoken about, we've already covered. The bottom line is this is a collaborative effort of all of many professionals in your library to create, and these are the professionals who understand how people use information. These are people who know how what events are working and what systems work. These are the people, they're the brains behind this thing. It's a collaborative effort. And I'm really happy with it, and I think you should be too. I'm ready to entertain questions.
And the Boopsy app goes, and it goes live in March, right?
You know something? I would like to take that to the bank, but I've been down this road before. I don't know.
Because that's what they said at the Upper Hudson Library.
Must be true.
Then I would take that to the bank.
Sometime, they anticipate going live.
They anticipate.
Sometime in March.
See, that's a real word right there. I anticipate, I don't know.
Actually, in a subsequent communication from Upper Hudson today, received today, they said they're now anticipating in February.
Oh, even better, okay, good, all right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Last time when we developed the logo, the board was involved because.
What logo was that?
The red roof that you don't like. And I was just wondering why there wasn't board involvement this time at any level. Because in a sense, you're representing the citizens and maybe even though you have the professionals working on it, from what they see as their needs, I'm just guessing maybe, you know, an added voice would have been helpful. I love what I see, but I'm just saying if we ever have to go through this again, I think there should be some board representation on your committees or whatever.
I'll put that in the notes for my successor.
But there may want to be like even some follow-up as you go through that, maybe there's even some, a secondary lead on you, because I think it's good too, but there's a couple other things, just, you know, as you go through it, you may just want like even some secondary input, because the other time, and this is probably bigger for the board, but usually when you do a website, you also have a tagline, right? It's good to have a tagline for the mission and I'm not sure exactly what our tagline is, you know.
The tagline is Gilman's Gathering Place.
Right,
That's what
but-
we use on the.
Right, so,
yeah.
but is, you know, we did a lot of things, right, we're talking 25th and 60th, we're launching a new website, so is that the same, you know, is Gathering Place it, and is it, you know, does it go up here?
That can always be changed.
That can always
Right,
be
well, I'm
changed.
just saying,
and what-
my point is, it's the time, same, to Barbara's point, you know, it's new, this is different, we're looking at new, you know, the responding to what the environment is, change, right? So all those things combined, just to get the input, you know, and talk about it and see if it should go up there, what it should be, is this it's a good conversation to have.
It is, and a couple of things, the reason you've got a little bit of white space here is we can play with this if we need to, if we
Yeah.
wanna do something. Up here,
I
and-
assume, Mark, that, you know, this stuff could all be changed.
Yeah.
Change the logo, could be changed, it could all be changed.
Oh,
change the logo,
I'm not saying we're gonna do it.
yeah.
What does a
I'm
logo
saying
represent? Can you
a book.
blow
If
it
you
up?
look, if you
I'm
look.
saying the website is
You can
made
see
so
the
that
book.
we can change things over time.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about before. But the, you know, we've invested a lot of time in developing this thing, and it's not developed in a vacuum. We've had this thing passed by, not only people in-house, but colleagues off-site who have looked at this.
Right.
And in terms of like, if we decide we're going to make this the, 50th anniversary website or whatever, we can do something up there where the logo is. Up here, just I should have mentioned before, this bar up here, if we're closed for some reason, and this is not on point, but if we're closed for some reason, we can replace our thing, closing early for weather reasons. That's my presentation. Any other questions?
Can you just describe the logo?
If you're,
I'm not very artistic, so.
See the book.
okay, if you look, all right, you see, right here, here's the front cover of the book. It's evocative and representational without being literal, okay? If you look at, okay, look at Bethlehem.
I'm one of these people that have a hard time saying anything.
Were there other logo options?
There were, and what happened
Were there any
was,
unique to
we laid them
us?
out in front of the group, we laid them out in front of the group, we laid them out in front of other people individually, and we'd go, 1, 2, oh, wow, that's the one. It always happened. We had other options, and they were traditional, but this is the one that spoke to everybody. Most everybody.
Those lines, see,
Okay,
the first line up
this
is the
these
spine
are
of the book.
pages.
Yeah,
This is
those
the
look
spine
like-
of the book.
Okay.
This is the cover, and these are the pages radiating out.
The rays
The rays of knowledge, reaching out to Yeah.
I would like you to take another minute, if you could, and show the board and the staff that's in the room the difference between the 5 home attendant event, research and learn, how much more intuitive they are than the previous 5 categories of 6.
And by that, we need to go to my least,
Because the biggest problem I hear about our current website, especially from board members, is where do I find X? And I would imagine the reference librarians in the room hear that a lot.
So you've got about, this is all the, Fiora stuff about the library. Here, no, let's come to an event, okay? Come over here, back to the old one, you've got adults, teens, kids. It's about attend an event, adults, teens, kids. Research and learn, here, you had research, hope it doesn't crash, and you've got a laundry list that goes like forever about all the different things, and if you were to click on here, it just goes on forever. The current, the new one, talks about research and learn, and it's targeted to adults, teens, and kids, and this is the stuff that we're still working on. You see, for instance, and look at the parallel structure here. Adults, to the right, research databases, websites, learn a new language, special services. Teens, research databases, websites, learn a new language, teen summer reading club, teen volunteer opportunities, and then kids, the same structure, research, websites, learn a new language, kids summer reading club. So there's a parallel structure for each one. Under read, view, and listen, this is the services. Get a library card, new arrivals, items that will be on order. These are all things that need to be populated. And here, whereas you had this stuff up front, about, okay? And you got all this stuff here. With this new organization, it's people, places, and things. It's much more intuitive. It's very intuitive. Thank you, Roseanne. Yes, ma'am.
On the current website, if you sign in and you go to search for something and you hit upon it, then another person in your family has to shut down, restart, and search for their items. Is this new website, can you register like family members with their cards?
What you've got there is you've got it's the cookies that you've got installed on your machine. Okay, when you log in on your computer and you enter your library card number, it installs a cookie on the machine, something the machine knows, the machine is thinking, yeah, maybe she'll come back, she wants to do this again. In order to do that, you've got to, what you'll have to do with the new website, as you have to do with every other website you deal with, DMV, anything else, when you go to the catalog, search the catalog, and use the notebook. If you were to request this, Barbara, you enter your library card, and when you hit that with the library card, that's when it would install the cookie. So somebody else coming along would have to, let me see if I find a better solution for you. I'm not sure if that's the solution.
Most people are gonna use Whoopsie anyway, they're not gonna use.
Say again?
They're gonna use their phones to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Or their iPads. They're not gonna go to the website. They're gonna use the app. That's good, the app.
So thank you for your time.
It was very nice.
And I gotta tell you, I'm really happy with it. And I was gonna do a presentation to the staff, but.
There's a few of us that are not here. It's still pretty crowded out there, so do the whole.
Okay, thanks, Mark, and the whole crew you named.
Thank you, sir.
Did any of the staff members go to the webinar on Mango today or
I don't know.
Tuesday?
I think some people did. I'm gonna look at the archive one, so
Those are the archived version that we could view it.
Sure. Yes.
And
I love
on
this
the
one.
eighth, let's see, on the 26th, there's a webinar scheduled on Flipster.
Flipster. Flipster, I don't know what you'd need a webinar for. It's so easy to use. It's just like.
I can use it.
Flipster is a new way to access magazines online. And for me personally, I can now see the New Yorker at home without paying for it. So
Yeah.
Some reports.
Consumer Reports is not on.
The buying guide is,
The
just the
buying
buying
guide,
guide.
yeah,
On the buying guide.
but not the actual magazine.
Yeah, 'cause this one's better supposedly, because the last one they had was associated with Barnes and Noble. There were problems with
So
that.
how do you get the flips?
Basically, there's a,
You have to go to the webinar.
yeah,
No,
well,
no,
No.
no, if you go to the website, the,
GPL's website.
the
It's
current
up and
website,
running
the
in
old,
public.
the Model T website, there's a marquee about 4-in that is Flipster. And that's one of the things, like finding stuff like that on a new website is gonna be so much easier. Because you go to the current website and you type in Flipster, you're probably not gonna get the result. You're not, maybe not gonna find it, which made me nuts, okay? So with the new website, you saw what happens when I just typed in trustees, when I got it right, okay? It gave you all that information. Any key word that talked about trustees, it gave you all that information. If you were to type in the new website magazine, Flipster, the New Yorker, you're gonna get that Flipster link.
I might as well tell you now, because you're gonna see it out on the sign up. But Mark and I are having fun with Flipster, and there's going to be a sign up here, maybe it's up there already, that says, "We have issues, you can too."
It's up there. I had a lot of fun with that.
Will you be able to access from the app?
Yes,
That's good.
you will, because the Boopsy app, I know this because of other organizations that have it, is head and shoulders above the Sierra app, because the Sierra app gives you access to the catalog, and you can request books and everything. The Boopsy app gives you that, as well as the ability, it integrates with Events, and it gives you the ability to find out what events are coming up, what, and to register for events. So Boopsy is the way to go. I can't wait for that thing to be fired up.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
Thanks, sir.
All right, if you had time to look at the November and December minutes,
Okay.
we could go over the corrections to make, maybe we could motion, packaging, and approval of both. Barbara made that motion. Do we have a second?
I can't. Karen can't, it's gotta be one of these two.
It's gotta be her or Jason.
Second?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Jason's got his name on that one. He seconded it.
Jason can't do November.
Yeah, I can't do no, I was absent for that one, I can do December though.
Yeah.
Herb seconded it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, Jason did not second that, it's Herb.
Okay.
Now, when our
Wait, can I
bylaws,
second it?
Well, we
Oh,
could do it.
Stating.
No, you
Can I,
can't.
okay.
No.
our bylaws.
Mr.
require
McGuire, thank you, it was my pleasure.
vote of each trustee. We do that normally by saying something's passed unanimously. This is not gonna be unanimous, because certain people are gonna abstain. So, Jen, you're gonna have to put down however you vote, okay? All in favor? Aye. So there's 3 ayes, me, Herb, and Barb. And there's
Abstain.
abstentions from everybody else.
No, motion still carries.
No, carries.
3-3.
3-0.
Oh, 3-0.
Wait a minute, when Barb's raising
Yeah, I
something,
know.
she's got it, she has the,
We're still doing the minute by minute, I thought that they had, for the, November one, they had taken out the minutes based on Dave Bosworth's complaints.
okay, we may have to undo that. Wait, I just wanna check, because when Barb says something, she has an institutional memory here.
It doesn't matter if we do it separately, as long as we do it separately.
Well, it might matter, go ahead.
I mean, we haven't done motions to do it separately.
I'm just gonna make sure of that. Okay, we do, because the majority vote should be one more than half votes cast, excluding abstentions.
Excluding, perfect.
Um,
Excluding extensions.
Yeah, so
Three
that
votes cast.
did not pass then,
No,
because
it
it was,
didn't.
no, because it said half the votes cast,
Excluding.
excluding abstentions. Yeah,
There's only
you're
3
right, you're right.
votes
So why
cast.
do we have to separate?
We don't.
Oh, all right,
That's
okay.
fine.
That did, it's fine as the way we did it.
Okay.
I was just reading right from the bylaw.
Perfect.
December meeting, Dave Bosworth complained about the, times and the November meeting, for the, exhibit, for the, exhibit 859, whatnot. And I think it was, agreed that they would take an hour in November.
No, no, it wasn't approved.
We actually said that in prior meetings that has to be there
Yeah.
for the votes.
Oh, I thought
No,
that
who
was.
was in the meeting when that vote was taken.
Yeah, the only reason why we put over the November minutes was because I had a question about their accuracy, and they were changed, and they're accurate the way they are.
Otherwise, you can't tell who's voting.
Okay. Do we have a motion then, to go into executive
I'll
session?
make that motion.
Okay, that's
I
Karen.
second.
Chris seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, do you wanna take a 5-minute break, or does everybody wanna just go right into it?
I said we go right into this.
Okay, as soon as the room's clear, just go right into it.
The one this room is warm, but other than that, it's just fine.
Karen already took a break.
I did, it's the warmest place, I think.
Yes, yep.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
I got it.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night, we'll be back. We'll be back.
It's much more fun than I.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, all right, take it easy, have a good night.
They all
Is
have
he?
the board.
We're having trouble.
Karen, personnel.
No, thank you, trying to, that's my, part of my new year.
Hello, did we vote on that? Hello? Okay, hello?
That's what
Sorry.
I need.
Before you go into
Yeah.
executive session,
Yeah.
we need checks and the register was not approved,
Oh, we gotta do that.
please.
Where are the
Okay.
checks?
So
They're
moved.
right here.
Hopefully
Okay.
someone's paying attention to that.
Yeah, great, yeah.
Yeah, but when we come out of executive session, we'll just tack that on.
Yeah, we'll just tack that.
Okay, so
So-
Tim, you're secretary for this
there you
executive
go.
session?
You can take notes on it now.
I believe you're staying,
Yeah,
Mark.
just-
Okay, never mind.
John, take notes on it now.
What's that?
I made the motion, Barbara seconded it, we all approved.
Oh, the check register?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so who approved?
I'm
But-
just saying,
But it was all done after coming out. of
Barbara.
executive
after
session.
coming out, yeah.
There you go. Okay, we got it.
I seconded Barbara.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Good point, good point.
Chris seconded, right? You seconded.
I made the motion, or whichever way, doesn't matter, whatever you want to put down.
Him,
Good.
her.
Yeah,
All right,
Him and
I got
her.
it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get that
Thank you.
later.
excellent.
Is the camera off?
I hope it-
I have no clue.
Yeah.
No,
Unplug, just unplug the whole thing.
it's not off.
Oh, jeez.
How do you?
Can you unplug it?
We can't have the camera for executive session.
Understood.
You can turn it.
Is that finished?